All right, guys, we're going to go over some of the basics that you can use to target speckled trout. The main thing for starters is going to be your rod and reel setup. This is a 7-foot Kistler cranking stick, so it is designed for crankbaits, rattle traps, jerk baits, top waters, stuff of that nature. Main thing being that it needs to be a little bit whippier rod than you would try to use for flounder or redfish targeting. These rods are really good about having a good fast tip, so when you do hook into a fish, you don't just rip the hook out of their mouth. Speckled trout do have a softer mouth, so the potential of ripping or pulling the hook out of their mouth on a hook set is going to be a little bit better than, say, your redfish or flounder. And then I just have a Lew's tournament MB reel. I don't know the actual ratio, but it is a little bit, I think it's like a 5.4 to 1. It is a little bit slower retrieve because I am going to be using this for these particular baits. So you can get away with a medium rod, kind of an overall rounded rod, but for specifically speckled trout, I like to use this. A lot of people do use a spinning setup. I've found that I have a drop shot rod that actually works pretty well for that as well for speckled trout. Anyway, let's jump right into it. So as you can see, I have a variety of lures here: top waters, jerk baits, twitch baits, stuff like that. Most common method is just going to be your standard jig head. This is a 1/4 ounce with a swim bait on it. I usually like to keep a couple of them pre-rigged up, be it one light and one dark color. There are a lot of color options out there for these. These are going to be just cast out and reel back. Pretty standard, straightforward retrieve. You can twitch it a little bit if you want to add a little action to it. You will be throwing these whenever you see birds working, stuff like that. What happens is the fish will push the bait up to the top, and then the birds will see that and be hitting the bait from the top as the fish are hitting them from below. Very effective method. So then your other method that's fairly common is going to be your popping cork. Work this under, you have your weight on this end. This is going to be your end that's in the water when it's sitting vertical. You're going to tie usually a 18 to 24 inch fluorocarbon leader from this to your hook, which could be a jig head. You can use live shrimp. Speckled trout are pretty finicky when it comes to live versus frozen shrimp, so whenever you have the option, always go with live shrimp if you're using live bait. For your bigger trout, you can also use small croaker or mud minnows or finger mullet. Those also work very well. Again, the big thing there is that you need them to be alive. They are kind of snobby when it comes to anything dead or frozen or anything like that. So one of my favorite techniques is going to be this. This is going to be your mirror lure twitch bait, suspending twitch bait. I love throwing these. I have had a lot of luck over the years using this particular style lure. It's a twitch bait, so you twitch it a few times and then let it sit in the water, and it will kind of suspend there. A lot of times what will happen is you'll twitch it a few times, and when you pause, that's when you'll get the hit. A lot of fun. You can make pretty long casts. These come in different sizes, obviously. I usually, for speckled trout, will go with more of a realistic color palette for that. And you always want to try and match the size of the shad that you're seeing in the water with what size lure you're using. You can use these diving a long body crankbait. I believe this one is 5 to 7 foot diver, in opposed to this Yazuri, which is only 3 to 5, I believe. But main thing is going to be that when you see the fish, depending on how deep your water is, you want it to run somewhere in the middle column of the water. So if you're in 10 feet of water, run it 5 to 7 feet, somewhere in there. And if you're in 5 feet of water, you obviously don't want to be diving that deep. You're just going to be dragging the bottom. So you're going to want 2 to 3 foot down. And I have several different sizes. Again, you want to try and match. This would be more of a replication of a mullet in opposed to this, which is going to be your shad. Again, you want to try and match the size of what type of bait you're seeing. Top waters. Speckled trout are known for hitting top waters. These are very good lures. This is just a Head and Spook Junior. I've had a lot of luck with the bone color. Then you've got some of these Mirror Hall Brown lures. These are absolutely spectacular when it comes to speckled trout, and you'll catch other stuff on them as well. You have a variety of colors that you can use, and if one color is not working, you can change it up. When it comes to your swim baits, I feel like a lot of it is, as they say, lures catch fishermen, not fish. If you have a couple of standard colors, I find that having the chartreuse tail, especially in the dingy water that we have here in southeast Texas, the chartreuse tail does help some in opposed to just a straight color body. So there are a lot of different options for colors. You can try different ones and go from where you want, go from there. So then right here, this is going to be one of my best search and seek baits. That means if I don't know where the fish are at and I just want to make long sweeping casts, and you will catch a lot of other stuff with this too. Rattle traps, any metallic, your silvers, your blues, your reds, stuff like that. You will catch speckled trout, and you will also catch a lot of redfish with these. So this is going to be just kind of a search and seek. If I don't know where the fish are at, I'm just going to throw it out there, make long sweeping casts, and see what I get. But these are very useful to have. I always keep a few of these. I actually have a different style and color on there for the moment being, but you do want to have a couple of these in your bag. There are several other options out there that you can utilize to catch speckled trout. Your voodoo shrimps under a popping cork, those are really effective. They have a great action in the water. You know, there are plenty of ways and methods. So this is just a basic setup of what I have for targeting speckled trout. It's not all the methods, but it is a good start. So if you have any questions, comments, just let me know, and hopefully this can be helpful to somebody. Thank you.